What is going down, everyone? Avengers Assemble 1.6.0 is live. My name is Mac here at the MacGyver7 channel. For the well-rounded update that is also known as 1.32, we're going to be looking at what the events are going to be happening that start tomorrow, going up to some cool loot and swag you can get to what has been changed. So let's go ahead and dive into it, shall we? With the Tachyon anomaly event booting in on the 22nd going to the 3rd, you will have a great array of missions. From the temporary assault events, a new Tachyon rift event, a lower level Tachyon rift event, and some animated nameplates that are going to be pretty cool. Now you're going to want to make sure you shift around these enemies and shift them around with different heroes in order to get these different sets. Also, on top of the Tachyon missions, we can see that there are going to be some animated plates. Details right there. Harm Room also gets a nice little buffer for adding new enemy groups in the custom intel Harm Room. The Dreadbots and Airborne. Airborne groups are in waves that are focused on the Dreadbot enemies, and the Airborne groups themed around the flying enemies. Operations and replays. You can now replay both operations, taking aim and operations future and perfections to your heart content. So you can basically keep playing these. The missions that have been changed that we're going to look at for as far as the villains and the sector missions now properly update and rotate in the new missions. Also, you'll see that Black Widow no longer appears on the war table during the mistaken identity. There was a second version of her just kind of floating around inside of that cutscene that was holding some progression back. Hawkeye missions inside of the outro no longer leaves the players in a still prolonged period before progressing. The light that failed deactivating a laser artifact no longer causes the issue in Iron Man's fight tutorial. The assignments no longer reset, switching between the missions and the givers and the factions and the terminals. Resolved an issue in the global presence where enemies may not spawn during multiplayer sessions. Players can no longer go out of the Tachyon missions. Breakout due to the rapid fly through the maps as Iron Man's before part in the environmental appears. So Iron Man was causing some trouble and they fixed that up for the Tachyon missions. For as far as the various stability optimization and improvements and the Steam improvements in loading times. On top of the multiplayer that also gets a fix, PlayStation 5 and 4 did not transition successfully within the Quinjet upon the Warzone completion. Fixed issues that were players sometimes had difficulties with the NPCs in the helicarrier after the matchmaking. Matchmaking also had issues that could be able to be disabled in players without the input. Players could not join other players in the activities of Warzone sessions that they had just left. The Desert Vault Elite mission appeared correctly on the war table, sometimes it didn't, on top of the Turbulent Elite, and we have various matchmaking optimization improvements. Arts and animations come into it as update inside of Kate and her outfit for the hearts. The tank and the praying animation and secrets within no longer appear broken. Kamala's hands no longer become enormous, gigantic when players press both melee and the attack and jump at the same time. Fix the issue where the resources and the containers would flicker at a distance. Those crates now are fixed. On top of that, they resolved a multiple issues that were aimed are using the ranged attack immediately before using the finisher that could result in a bugged animation and the inability to aim or the camera issue, and added an audio to Hawkeye's takedown for the marketplace that were no longer having no audios. Kind of like he lost his voice for the day. But looking on past that, and we go into the UI for the user interface, The user interface gets a buff for as far as the update in the characters and the selection for what the menu inside of the accurately reflection inside of a clickable area selected inside of desired heroes. The faction rewards and notifications no longer pop up consistently during missions. After defeating the warbot in the family reunion and watching the cinematics, the player HUDs now properly appear. The Cortex entry for the Elite Dreadbots is properly unlocked, and the general UI has been fixed. Now, combat also comes down to some fixes and known workarounds, which we'll get into before we exit out with this patch. The fixed rare issue where sometimes the players would not be able to jump or fly using the Warzone elevator. Hawkeye's heroic abilities can now actively and immediately after grappling, so it's just going to work pretty much flawless. They also fixed a rare issue where Kamala inside of the high five would sometimes not fully stretch out and instead linger in front of her. Fixed an issue when the Adaptoid's laser beam can continuously fire despite being defeated. Thor's God Blast no longer knock down the drones, always prematurely before Thor can cast the ability. In Gathering of Evil, the Abomination no longer gets stuck on the center of the structure. The next workaround would be made for progression inside of the Reassemble campaign if they've attempted to re-enter the game with only the partial install. They will crash, press the button, enter the main menu. We recommend that you fully install the game and this will resolve it. So everyone, if you are newer to the network, you can always like, share, and subscribe. Absolutely free, helps me out as a creator, and if you do today, who knows? Maybe they'll continue to update, because this is actually seeming like it's like kind of working towards fixes and trying to keep it simple towards events that aren't super crazy, just some really cool lightweight missions that are going to give us some really cool gear. Leave a comment down below of what you think about the state of the way the game is and nowadays, and I will see you guys and gals in the near future. Stay safe, stay classy, and I got a ton of updates that I need to get to. There's so many, but I'll see you guys and gals there.